Well, hello everybody, it's me. And you might notice it's dark. Maybe I look better in the dark, but here's some more light. Here's the thing. This video is entitled Wizards, Witches, and Osiris is Jack Frost. Chucky, what are you talking about? Now on this channel, we don't read from Wikipedia, we do independent research. And I'm putting it to you that all the wizards, the witches, the party hats, all these have one common origin in the Green Man, shrouded in a robe, a dead man resurrecting every year. Even the royalty, the royal red, the royal purple is a form of the royal blue, the blue of Osiris. Does Osiris actually come from Russia? We're going to perhaps prove that. Osiris doesn't belong in Egypt as a green man. There shouldn't be a green man in Egypt. That's totally wrong because Egypt did not... the green man would come out in midwinter. He would be symbolically killed in winter. He would come back. Now, this is a patron video. And it was a patron who suggested the idea. He wanted to look into these conical hats that are found in Egypt. And he said, look, there's something interesting going on here. They have these conical blue hats they found on people and also white hats they found on people in tombs. And if you look at these, what's going on is that they found some of these so-called sugar loaf hats on people in Egypt because they're shaped like the way sugar used to be sold in the form of a loaf from the Middle Ages until maybe the 19th century. And these hats were found on poor people. So it looks like they were imitations of rich people's hats, rich people's conical hats. And of course, the most conical hat person in Egypt is Osiris. And it's a form of crown. It's the crown of Upper Egypt. And this hat is interesting. There's a snake on it. The snake is descending down from heaven, which is a bit weird. It's a bit strange on the hat. And this is the earliest conical hat that I know. So in order to pierce the mystery of what these people were wearing conical hats for, we're going to have to look at Egypt. We're going to have to look at Eurasia, different countries. But they all seem to me to be the green man dressed up. Now, conical hats are everywhere. They found a witch in called essentially called the Witch of Subeshi, and she was one of the Tarim mummies in China, basically a red-headed European-like person wearing a witch's hat. I don't know why my nose is so itchy. It's crazy. That means something's going to happen. So what's very interesting about all this is that the So we have conical hats from all over Europe. We have that hat in Germany, which was from 1000 BC, that gold hat. And instead of being full of stars and blue like a cartoon hat, it's essentially got, it looks like Saturn rings, and I would call them Jupiters because there's a circle with 4 other circles around it, which is interesting. And the more you look, the more hats you find. There are hats of people in the Middle Ages. Women would actually dress up in a black suit and wear a witch's hat. That was like a female suit, a female dress up, especially at the end of the Middle Ages, around the time of the Reformation. You see this in the Puritan clothing, that women would dress up like a witch. And of course, that was the time when people were scared of witches, so they would start persecuting people who were actually dressed in the height of fashion. And that's possibly one reason why we have witches' hats like that. Party hats, the jesters, the jesters, if you look at the old tarot cards, the jesters and the wizards look identical. And so if you're making a fool of yourself, you're at a party, you're wearing a party hat. The green man is a fool as well. The green man is Osiris. The green man is incredibly foolish. In the Arthurian tale about the green man, we have green man encounters Sir Gawain, and the green man says, "Ha ha! Try and cut my head off." And Sir Gawain cuts his head off. Green man takes his head and says, "I'll be back next year. You can cut it off again, and I'll try and cut yours off." So this is essentially yearly sacrifice at midwinter. And this all brings us down to the question of what Osiris is doing in Egypt as a green man, as a blue man. Well, I think it all stems basically from Russia. And in Russia, instead of Santa, we have Santa as well, but we have this figure called Jack Frost, also known as Dead Moroz. Dead Moroz is quite a character. Dead Moroz is a kind of snow god, a snow ghost, a snow demon. There is a story. A stepmother wishes to kill off a stepdaughter. She sends him out to freeze to death. And the husband says, yeah, okay, let's do that. That sounds like a good idea. And instead of freezing to death, Dead Moroz finds her and gives her a chest full of warm clothes. Stepmother says, Then she sends her real daughter out. And the real daughter freezes to death. Dead Moroz doesn't give her anything. So that's the story of Dead Moroz. He's a bit of a justice figure, and he wears blue, white. He's a winter god. I think he could be an ancestor or even a descendant of what became Osiris. Osiris and Dead Moroz, you could say, would have a common ancestor. Originating out of Eurasia, Egyptians, pre-Egyptians, arrived in Egypt, and they had this green man god. And this green man god was a midwinter god. But of course, midwinter is completely irrelevant to the ancient Egyptians. Now, the archaeologists are never, ever in a million years going to print this in any of their books. They are backward people, very, very slow upstairs, unfortunately, but what can you do? And the kings, the Phoenicians, they all wore this purple because it originated in tribal society as a sort of king for a day. King for a day, then chop your head off, and there's a symbolic green man, there's a sacrifice, they sacrificed criminals. And this became a king's robe. So kings, jesters, wizards, witches, they all seem to have a common origin. The conical hat wearing Osiris. I suppose it's pointing to heaven, they're going to heaven, something like that. It's interesting as well, if you look at etymologies, witch and wizard. Now, obviously you would say with the W-I, they have the same meaning, the same etymology. That is not the case. You look in a dictionary, it says witch comes from Wigga or Wicca, and this means female sorceress, whereas wizard means wise-ard, wizard. Now, obviously, that would imply that witch also means a wizard or a wise person, and somehow they haven't worked out how that etymology works, but that must be the same as the wizard etymology. So all these Wiccans, you don't even need to call it wizard, Wicca. You could call it the wise female, for example. That would be a better term. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed that. Tell me what you think. These hats are mysterious, strange, unusual. We don't know much about them. In terms of Egypt, in ancient Egypt, the people would have had these blue hats, and so how do we finally explain what's going on in Egypt? Well, you would wear a blue hat if you wanted to be resurrected again. So the blue hats in Egypt, or the conical hats placed on the dead, are for resurrection. It's so funny. You see these conical hats popping up through history. And the French Revolution was a form of like rebirth, resurrection. So they put a conical hat on, you know, for their revolution. It's all a bit weird. But that's what it means. It means you're a fool. It means you're a king. It means you're a wizard. All the same thing. Yeah, it's interesting, you know, because women seem to like these mystical kind of candle thingies. Maybe I should start a sex cult. Oh, I'll edit that out later. Cut. Okay, let's continue from there. Okay, so check out these messages. Hey people, how you doing? This is my website, and the reason I'm showing it to you is I've put out another article that you can read. So just click on there, and it's gigantism, or the reduction of gigantism in humans, animals, and real extinction of the dinosaurs 30,000 years ago. So you can just go into that and check out that thing if you want to have a read of that. Yeah. Have a great day.